Hi guys, this is Bones of Sports Talk here with my first video on this channel. As you could tell, the production value isn't that great, but I hopefully will be able to get a better microphone and increase the quality of my videos. But for now, this is just my first video on this channel, and I have my way too early standings for the 2016-2017 NHL season. Now, if you guys don't know, which you probably do know, way too early standings or way too early predictions are just basically predictions that you make very early on for what you assume is going to happen in the next season. And obviously here are my picks. So we're going to start off with the Eastern Conference here, and we'll start off with the Metropolitan Division. So as you can see, I have Pittsburgh winning the Metropolitan Division, Washington getting second place in the division, and the New York Islanders getting third place in the division. And I'll explain each each team as I go. So Pittsburgh, as you could tell in this playoffs, they had a great run, and they didn't even have their starting goalie, and they had backup. You're getting great production from players that didn't do that good in the regular season, such as sorry, wow, his name is escaping me. I can't believe this. Oh, sorry, my God, what am I thinking about? Phil Kessel, Carl Hagelin, Nick Bonino. I can't remember his first name, but something Rust. You're getting good production out of these guys that I don't want to say came out of the woodwork, but people you don't really know about, people that aren't really playmakers, sorry, except for Phil Kessel, because he's had that history. But during the regular season, he scored less than 20 goals, but in the playoffs, he's just done extraordinarily well. But I think with all these players becoming better, they will be a very big force to reckon with in the Eastern Conference, and therefore I think not only are they going to win the division, but I think they're going to also win the Eastern Conference. So as you can tell, I have Pittsburgh in that pick here. In my second spot, I have Washington. And also, sorry guys if I say the word so much, it's just like this natural habit I have. I just want to throw that out there. But anyways, let's get back there. So Washington, second place. Obviously, they're still a pretty good team. I don't think they're going to win the President's Trophy again. I think this is going to be kind of like growing pains. They're going to go down a little bit, not significantly. They'll still be one of the best teams in the NHL, but I think they're going to just go down a little bit in their division. They're still going to be a very good team and a very big force to reckon with in the Eastern Conference. I just think that Pittsburgh is going to be better than them, which is why I have Pittsburgh over Washington, and Washington being dropped down to second place. And now in third place, I have the New York Islanders. This New York Islanders team is really good. I gotta be honest with you, I thought they were going to get eliminated by the Panthers in 6 games during this year's playoffs, but even with injuries and all their players missing, they were still able to beat them in 6 games, which is pretty good. Pretty good, shows their skill in all the players that they have, which is why I have them in third place. Now you're probably going to realize, what the hell, New York Islanders over the New York Rangers? How is this possible? The biggest reason why I have the New York Rangers going down to the wild card spot is because of, like I said, for Washington, they have those growing pains. You have the New York Rangers winning the President's Trophy 2 years ago. They were extraordinarily good, and this year they were okay. They won the third place in the division, and now I think they're going to go through more growing pains and drop down to wild card. And also, the New York Islanders are significantly better against the New York Rangers in the regular season. The New York Rangers are better than the New York Islanders. They actually swept them in the season series. The New York Rangers did not win 1 game. And so because of this, I believe the Islanders are going to actually take third place over the Rangers. Now we're going to go to the Atlantic Division here, which will all go through these 3 teams. I'll start off with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously a very good team. They went pretty far even without Stamkos and Ben Bishop. So I think this team, not really a surprise here. They're a pretty good team, so obviously everyone can see this happening. I think they're going to go all the way and win the division. And they're pretty good in the playoffs as well. But pretty easy, don't need to really explain. I see Tampa Bay winning this division easily. Now in second place in the division, probably not too surprising either, I have Montreal Canadiens taking second place. Now obviously you could tell, if you guys were watching last season, they started off the season really well. Carey Price got injured, and then it just all kind of went downhill from there. Now with Carey Price is probably this team's most important player. Obviously he won the Hart Trophy for this team, so he instantly is just like insanely important for this team. And as you could tell with his injury out, this team is just decimated without him. So this is why I think when Carey Price comes back, if he comes back and he stays healthy for the whole season, he will carry his team all the way back up into the playoffs. Once again, I don't really need much explanation for this team. When they have Carey Price and they're at full strength, they're an extremely good, powerful team. Third place, I have Florida. I don't think they're going to win the division again. I don't want to say it was a fluke last year, But I think that the Atlantic Division was extraordinarily weak last season, which opened up the window for Florida, and they took advantage of it in the best way possible in winning the Atlantic Division. However, with all the teams getting better now, I believe that the Florida Panthers will still continue to make the playoffs, but not do as good as they did last year. But I think they'll still make the playoffs in third place. Their team is okay. I like their goaltending. Robert Luongo and Al Montoya are a very good goaltending pair. They are very good. They stop a lot of shots, get a lot of shutouts. That's very good. As you can tell, the Florida Panthers did get a new logo here. I just want to throw it out there. They have this new logo. I personally don't think it looks that good, but it's all up into interpretation. But yeah, there you go. Florida is going to be taking third place in the Atlantic Division. Now we're going to move down to the wildcard spot. I already talked about the Rangers a little bit, so I'm going to just go over them very briefly. I think they're going to be going through this growing pains thing that I'm talking about. I don't think they're going to be a terrible team, but just because I think the Metropolitan Division is going to be a very, very good division once again. I think that's going to just end up forcing the Rangers down into the wildcard spot. I think that the biggest issue with the Rangers is not really defense. Lundqvist and their defensive players aren't too bad. It's just their offense hasn't been producing. I noticed that towards the end of the season. Their top performers, Rick Nash, Matt Zuccarello, towards the end of the season weren't performing as well as they should have been. I'm trying to think of other players off the top of my head, but you guys get the point. And going to the second wildcard spot, I have the Boston Bruins making the playoffs. Now, actually, if you think about it, the Boston Bruins were actually a very good team last season. They had a strong shot in making the playoffs, but it just came down to the end of the season when they couldn't finish, and then everything just went to shit for the Boston Bruins. Let's face it, they were a very good team. At one point in the season, they were actually the fourth best team in the overall standings. However, just because they don't have that will in them, they lost many, many games towards the end of the season, which were very important in the race for the wildcard spot and third place in the Atlantic Division. And unfortunately, that resulted in them missing the playoffs by actually 0 points. They missed the playoffs by 1 row win, which the Detroit Red Wings had over them. But a huge factor in why the Bruins will make the playoffs is because Pavel Datsyuk is no longer playing with Detroit, which is a massive blow to their offense because their offense is one of the worst offenses to make the playoffs. But I'll go into that when I talk about Detroit. But yeah, I think that the Boston team will be better. Once they fix their defense up, they'll become a very strong team again. Obviously not too strong because they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row now. So they're going to need to recoup a little bit here and regroup a little. But I do think that they will be able to pull it off. I'm so happy that Claude Julien was, in fact, not fired. Unfortunately, that's a common thing in the NHL for coaches to be fired if their team does bad, even if it's not the coach's fault. But I'm happy they keep Claude Julien. I hope they replace Jonas Gustafsson because he's an absolutely horrible goalie. And I hope they keep Tuukka Rask, keep the offense strong. They had a very, very good offense. In fact, they had the best first line in NHL, scoring I think 100 or 99 goals total. And obviously, very good offense, trying to make up for the bad defense. But if you fix up the defense here, you're gonna have a pretty good team, at least a playoff team. Now we're going to briefly go over all the missing teams just because I want to talk about them because they're not that important. Like I said, Detroit missing Pavel Datsyuk is going to be a huge thing that the Detroit Red Wings fans are going to be doing. No Pavel Datsyuk is a huge blow, especially since their offense was absolutely horrible. At least compared to all the other playoff teams, their offense was negative. They actually got scored on more than their offense scored, which is unbelievable for a playoff team to make. Henrik Zetterberg, all your top players on their offense are just not producing. They're just not producing at all, and this team is just struggling to score goals. In the net, they're okay. Peter Mrazek has seemed a little unstable. He could be a little inconsistent. Same thing with Jimmy Howard. Jimmy Howard always has good starts, but finishes fairly poorly. He is just a little cocky, but overall, I don't think this team is going to be good enough. Their defense is okay, but I just don't see this team making the playoffs, to be honest. With no Pavel Datsyuk and a very unproductive offense, I can't see this team making it. But it's going to be very, very close. Below them, you see Philly. Obviously, they just kind of made the playoffs. I don't want to say they got lucky because they did bust their ass, but I don't think anybody saw Gustafsson performing as best as he did. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people just kind of forget that the Flyers made the playoffs, and I just don't think they're going to make it again. I don't want to say it's a fluke for them, but I don't know, just kind of random they just made the playoffs. I don't see that happening again. Below them, we have New Jersey. I think this team's on the rise, so keep an eye on them. Below them is Carolina. I would have to say the same thing. This team's on the rise. Keep an eye on them. I think the only thing that's holding this team back is the goalies. If you get a good goalie in that net, I think you actually might have a playoff contender here because their defense is very good, and they win games even with Cam Ward in net, and they block a lot of those shots. So if they get a good goalie, then I think they'll be able to become a playoff contender. Below them is Ottawa. I think Ottawa is going to drop a lot. I think everybody's just becoming a better team. Everybody's improving except for Ottawa. I think Ottawa's going to just slowly start dropping through the standings. Below them you have Buffalo. I think they're going to have the same production they did last year, which is average. It's going to get around 80 to 85 points average. Below them you have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think they're going to become one of the worst teams in the NHL as the years come. And Toronto, I believe that they are once again going to finish dead last in the Eastern Conference and also dead last in the entire NHL. This team is absolutely terrible with the starting goalie of Jonathan Bernier and their top player Kadri, who's an underperformer. I do not see this team doing good at all, not even close to being a playoff contender. So now I'll just give you a little look here, just overall, and we can move on to the Western Conference. Okay, so here we have the Western Conference, my Western Conference predictions. As you can see here, there are 2 less teams, so we should be able to go over this one a little quicker. But let's start in the Central Division from my way to early standings. As you can see here, in my first place, I have St. Louis winning the Central Division, winning the Western Conference, and winning the NHL President's Trophy. Now I say this because I feel like St. Louis has always been a top team, which they have been in the past, 5-6 years, consistently in the standings, and since they broke through their playoff barrier of getting through the first round finally for the past 3-4 seasons, they haven't been able to do that in the playoffs. Since they were finally able to do that, I see this team actually being able to break through and winning the President's Trophy. They're an extraordinary team, very good build overall. Brian Elliott is really good even though he's old. Jake Allen, very good. Their defense is great, their offense is great. I just don't see why this team can't pull it off. Moving on to the second spot, obviously no explanation. The Chicago Blackhawks have been one of the best teams in the NHL in the past 5 years, just extraordinarily well. Very fast team, very physical team, but very skilled as well. You have Corey Crawford in net. He had a pretty good season last year. I would say one of his best seasons of his career, actually. But yeah, I just see this team obviously making the playoffs once again, but getting second place. Third place, I see Nashville Predators making third. This team was extraordinarily well in the playoffs, considering that everybody thought that Anaheim was going to eliminate them. But after Dan Rosen made that prediction and I watched his review, I actually think he's kind of right. This team is extremely well-rounded. They have a good offense, and they have also a good defense. Just to go show, they trade away Seth Jones, which is very important. Seth Jones was a very important defensive player to them, and they trade him away, and they still make the playoffs. So that's pretty good. And you have Pickering in that. Great glove, obviously, he's a great player. So I see this team making it once again. Going down to the Pacific Division here, I see Los Angeles winning the division here. Obviously, no explanation here, as Los Angeles is an extraordinary team, especially in the regular season. They are very, very good regular season performers. I just see them being able to win a lot of games because they can just last a lot and they just beat teams consistently every single game they play. Second place, I have San Jose. Obviously, they have this crazy playoff run that nobody saw coming. They're in the Stanley Cup final right now, and as of the day I'm making this, the Penguins are up 2-0 in the series against them. As of the date I'm making this, but I see San Jose not winning the division. Now, I don't want to say San Jose is a bad regular season team, but they're not the best regular season team in the NHL, not at all. But I do see them still making the playoffs like this, so I think they're going to take second place in the Pacific. And third, I have Anaheim. So obviously with a very disappointing loss in the first round, but with an extraordinary comeback in the regular season to get them the winning title in the Pacific Division last season. I think that they'll still make the playoffs, but they won't be as good. I think the Pacific Division will be getting a lot better within this big three teams here. But I do think Anaheim will still make it. I don't think they're going to be as good. Their goaltending situation is not really too sure. I'm not really too sure. They have Anderson and Gibson. Gibson, I feel like, is a little overhyped. I don't think he was that great. Their defense needs to get a little better. I know Cam Fowler is a good defenseman, but he wasn't performing as well as he should be. Cam Fowler is really important to that defense. Obviously, you have Silverberg, Raquel, guys that should be performing better than they actually were. Raquel was starting to perform better towards the end of the season. He had that one amazing goal, which everybody began focusing on him a little bit more. But, you know, Anaheim's a good team, but I don't see them winning the division. And here in the wild card spot, we have Dallas and Colorado. We'll start with Dallas. Now, you guys probably gonna be surprised why I'd be taking Dallas below Nashville and below Chicago and below St. Louis. Honestly, this team is being held back by their defense. Niemi is fine. Lefkonen is fine. Their whole offense is amazing, but their defense is not that great. I mean, obviously, you have good defensemen like Jordy Ben and oh boy, what's his name? It's literally escaping me right now. I can't remember it. Oh, sorry, Klingberg, Jonathan Klingberg. I'm forgetting his name. But Klingberg, similar to Oliver Ekman-Larsson, is more of an offensive defenseman. He still needs to focus on his actual defensive skills. Jordy Ben is a good defenseman, but I'm trying to think of anybody here. But just overall, their defense is average, if not below average, and I think that's what's holding this team back. I think that they're going to be having to go through shooting matches to win their games. It's just going to be a little bit struggle here. I think it's going to be very hard on the Dallas Stars, and it's not saying that the Dallas Stars are a bad team. It's just that I feel like their offense having to consistently bust their ass every single game to try and force turnovers is going to just wear them down a lot faster, and then their endurance as a team is just not going to be as strong, and their stamina is not going to be as strong. I feel like at one point in the season you're going to see Dallas go through a large losing streak, maybe like 7-8 games long. You're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I think you're going to see something like that. We're not 7-8 games, but you're going to see a huge lose streak by Dallas at some point in the season. In second wildcard spot here is Colorado Avalanche. Now, I don't want to say this is an underperforming team, but they've always been right under the chin of the playoff spot for so many years. This team kind of shit the bed towards the end of the year. They were like kind of primed to make the playoff spot. Minnesota started losing games before they did, and this was an easy win, but with underperforming players such as Matt Duchene, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, players they need to perform in order to make the playoffs. They just didn't. They really didn't. They weren't able to get the puck in the back of the net. Varlamov didn't seem as strong as he was. He was letting in a lot of goals. This team just kind of blew it, and that's why they ended up losing on a 6-game losing streak, which is absolutely terrible. However, I do think they will make it over Minnesota this time because they have Mikhail Boddicker from Arizona, who I believe is going to be very good. They didn't need Alex Tanguay because their defense is already pretty strong with Eric Johnson and the other guys they got there on their D. They're pretty good. Obviously, you have the veteran presence still on that team. You have Patrick Waugh, coach, and you have Jerome McGinley to still control that team, make sure everybody's on their top game. And I believe that they will make the playoff spot. And they've been here before, and they'll do it again. Now, moving down to the missing teams, I have Minnesota, obviously. Minnesota is going to be the best team to miss the playoffs. And to be honest, it's just going to be a really tough time for Minnesota. Now, Dubnyk did not have as good as a season he did 2 years ago last season, and I feel like their offense is going to have a tough time generating goals here, and their defense is going to be pretty good. Ryan Sutter does control the defense very well, and overall they're a pretty good team, but I think that their offense is not going to be that strong. Quite frankly, I know they have Zach Parise, he's really good, but one man can make up a whole team. And I just don't see that their offense is going to be good enough to make them win the wild card spot or any playoff spot, for a matter of fact. Below them, I have Calgary. I do have Calgary moving up. They had an absolutely horrible season last year, and I think that they're going to do a lot better with Bennett doing way better. With oh god, why am I forgetting this guy's name? I'll have to go back to him because I'm forgetting his name. He's the young guy from Boston College. I literally can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. He's a little short guy. I can't believe why am I forgetting his name. But anyways, this team is getting a lot better, and they're going to become a playoff contender. They're not quite there yet to make the playoffs, but Mark Giordano, you got those old veteran players there that keep the team in line. I do think they should get a new goalie. Kari Ramo is just too shaky. He's too inconsistent, too shaky. He's just overall not that good. He just plays like a backup goalie, and I think that's going to be what's holding this team back. They do have a very average defense, not that great. They last year their defense was like very good. They blocked so many shots, which is why they moved on past the Vancouver Canucks like 2 seasons ago. But anyways, that's beside the point. I think this team's going to do pretty okay. Okay, but at least in comparison to the last season, I think they'll get around 83 points. Here I have Winnipeg. Not much to talk about. I think they're going to have the exact same production. Not that great. Just overall a bad team. Just because they take too many penalties, and their offense is just not disciplined enough. Obviously, you have Blake Wheeler there, who is very good with the passing game, but their offense is just not disciplined enough. Their defense is not disciplined enough, and Andrei Pavlik is just a little too shaky for me, so I don't see this team improving at all. Arizona I have dropping significantly. Age is what's going to really be taking down this team. This team doesn't have much youth. Obviously, you have Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Domi, you have Anthony Duclair, you have all those young rookies coming in. But I just don't think this team is going to be able to overcome the fact that a lot of its roster is old guys. You have Dion, what am I talking about? You have Shane Doan as their captain, who did pretty good last season, but he's getting old. Mike Smith is just not looking good at all anymore. He's just, I know in 2013 he wasn't that bad. He was actually fairly good, but now he's just, the age is really just hitting him now. Their defense is really old. Most of their offensive players are kind of young, but the other half, like their third and fourth line, are usually older guys. I don't know. I just think this team's going to only get worse. 7th, I have Vancouver. I don't think you're going to see any improvement from Vancouver whatsoever. Once again, this is an aging team. You have old guys on here. You have the old Sedin brothers. You have the old goalie out there. You got no, you don't have Eddie Lack. Who's their goalie right now? I'm forgetting. I can't believe this. Oh, you got Miller. God, yeah, you have Miller out there. He's getting old too. He's kind of a has-been since like the 2000 or 2010. He's starting to go downhill. Who else they got on there that's old? All these names are escaping me right now, but there's just a lot of old guys on there. Verbata, he's old, he's on there, but whatever. This is an old team. I don't think they're gonna get any improvement. And Edmonton in 8th place, missing the playoffs again. Can you believe it? This team's got an insane offense. You got this stacked ass offense. You got Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. My God, it's just Taylor Hall. I know I'm forgetting somebody right now. But this offense is just crazy, but they just, I don't know, they can't win games. They just suck. Cam Talbot was okay. I wouldn't even say him as okay. He was kind of bad, actually. I think he kind of had a breakout season with the Rangers, obviously with Lundqvist's injury, but I don't think he's worth the contract that I don't think he's worth the amount of money they paid for him. Obviously, he was terrible, and then if you look at his stats are just very bad. And I think the thing that's holding this team back is the defense. This defense is piss poor. They go negative every single game with shots all out. It's just not very good. They let too many shots on net. Cam Talbot can't control this. It's just not very good for them. So here we go. These are my predictions, my way too early predictions. Sorry for my stuttering and for me mumbling and mixing up words and forgetting players. Like I said, this is my first video, so I'm kind of new to this whole thing. But I want to appreciate you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm not gonna bore you with the generic like, comment, and subscribe. But if you do want to see more content about the NHL and NFL, which I will be making, go ahead and watch. I will be making the same thing with the NFL next year, a way too early prediction with the NFL, so you could go check that out. But I just want to thank you guys for watching. Here, let me just cycle through these my slideshow here of these two plays. So here you go. This is the Central Division, and I just want to appreciate you guys for watching my video. I mean, any criticism is really helpful. If you guys got any advice for how I can fix my channel, make it better, it's really appreciated. But overall, just thank you guys for watching, and I guess see you in my next video.